Today's practice is going to be basically an introduction to meditation. Not sure whether or not you have a meditation practice already, and if you do, then this is going to be really natural, really easy. If you don't, this is a easy way to begin. So I found when I first started meditation, it was much easier at the feet of my teacher than it was to do it at home on my own. Although obviously now over the years I've got quite good at my self-practice. But meditation is basically just giving yourself a little bit of time out. It's a real self-care practice. A little time alone with your thoughts. And then as we get better at it, a little time alone clearing our thoughts. So giving us a little time with an empty mind, which is something that I'm sure that most of you would agree is rare. Our minds are usually so busy and so full of all the things that we cram into our day. And so this gives us a little chance to clear it out. So we're going to start sitting up. I like to take a little blanket and to roll it up underneath me. And then not to sit directly all the way up onto that blanket, but to perch kind of on the edge of it so that the tail is elevated, but the knees can stay grounded. And this gives us a beautiful long spine. So this is our meditation seat. This is our practice. If this doesn't work for you, if you've got knee issues or you're new to meditation, just sitting like this isn't comfortable, then putting yourself up against a wall with the back supported, legs straight out in front might be a good option. Or alternatively to that is to find a hard chair and to sit with your feet flat to the ground, feet hip distance apart, and not leaning back on the chair, but sitting up, self-supporting. We want to slightly activate the belly to be able to hold the spine up. And we're going to take the hands, and I like a grounding hands down, but you might feel like you want to invite a little energy from the world, in which case you're going to flip the hands palms up. And whatever option you take, you're going to bring the thumbs and the first fingers together. And in yoga we call this a mudra. And what that basically is it completes an energy circle. So it keeps the energy from releasing, from leaving the body, it keeps it within. So we're going to start closing down the eyes and take those hands into that little mudra. First finger and thumb connect. And initially just a couple of deep breaths. And just allowing the body to settle. And taking the first couple of breaths here just to make any adjustments to your clothing, to your seat, to your environment. And so in today's meditation practice, we're going to move through the koshas. This is probably a new word to you. In yoga, we believe that each person has 5 layers or veils or sheaths, depending on who does the translation. But these koshas are basically like a bullseye coming from inside out. We have these 5 layers or coatings over what is essentially our soul. And so we're going to start with our very most external layer, the Annamaya kosha. And Anna, A-N-A, in Sanskrit translates to food. So what we're looking at is the food body, which is our most dense physical representation of self. This is probably the one that's easiest to identify with initially. And this is the physical self that walks around in the world. And our Annamaya kosha, or food body, a layer of self, is informed by our 5 senses. So we're going to start there. And just with a couple of deep breaths, just noticing what you can hear. So we've closed the eyes down, we've essentially removed one of our senses. And so let's start with the ears. Let's start what we can hear. You'll be able to hear the sound of my voice. And then there'll be sounds within your environment. And whether that's the sounds of birds outside in the trees, whether that's the sound of other people moving around inside or outside your house. Perhaps within your environment you can hear the sounds of traffic. Maybe you're lucky enough to hear the sounds of the waves. And just listen for what sounds you can hear. And each time you identify a sound, see if you can notice the sound, acknowledge the sound, and then find a sound a little further away. And pick up what that sound is, acknowledge the sound, and then listen for a sound even more distant. And so we keep moving further and further away from our immediate environment. Finding those sounds more and more distant, softer and softer. And gently releasing the sounds, releasing the ears. I want you to notice what you can feel in your environment. Noticing the temperature of the air around you. Noticing where the skin is being touched by the air. What do you feel? Can you discern the difference in temperature between your skin and the air around you? So paying special attention to any areas that are exposed. So the feet, the hands, the face. And depending on how cool or warm it is in your environment, you might have a little more exposed than that. And just see if you can notice the difference in the outside world and the internal world in that temperature. Notice if in your environment there's a breeze. And just notice what you notice. And then releasing the sensations that we feel. I invite you to see what you can taste. So noticing in your mouth, maybe you can taste coffee or tea. Perhaps you've brushed your teeth and you can taste toothpaste. And just notice what you can taste. Notice the flavors of your mouth. And then releasing the sense of taste and coming to the sense of smell. What can you smell in your environment? Do you have some oils burning? Can you smell laundry detergent from your clothes, perhaps perfume? What is it that you can smell within your environment? Familiar smells of your room, your house. And then releasing the sense of smell. And noticing from behind your eyes your sense of sight. So keeping the eyes closed. And depending on how much light is filtering into your space, perhaps you can see light flickering across the eyes. And you'll notice that as we take our awareness to each sense, it gets heightened. So perhaps you are unaware of the light that filters through the eyelids, and you're noticing them now. And so this basic practice, this 5 sense practice, is a basic mindfulness. And so we notice from sense to sense that where we place our attention, where we put our focus, everything gets heightened. Everything lights up and becomes more prominent. And so I invite you now to release the physical body, the Annamaya Kosha. We're going to move to the next layer in, which is the Pranamaya Kosha. So prana is basically energy. And the easiest way to access the energetic body is through our breath. And so we notice when we're stressed that we tend to breathe quite shallow breaths up and into the chest. We will notice that when we're calm and relaxed, that we're able to breathe all the way down into the belly. And so inviting you just to notice your breath. Notice whether the breath is deep or shallow. Notice if the breath is smooth or rough. Notice if it's fast or slow. And notice what you notice without judgment. So if you've been rushing around to get ready to come and sit, perhaps the heart's beating a little fast, perhaps the breath is a little shallow, a little quick. Or if you've rolled out of bed and everything's been kind of cruisy, then the breath, chances are, is deep and slow and smooth and delicious. So just notice what's going on for you this morning and today. Then we can begin to lengthen that breath, to stretch the breath. Begin to take the breath all the way down into our belly. And so in yoga, we breathe in and out through the nose. And see if you can breathe all the way down to the belly. And as women especially, we tend to hold our bellies in or on. I really invite you now to release that, to soften, let the belly round. Invite in a big, full breath in. And then release the belly, breathe in, belly, and notice the ribs now. So breathing into the side body. Feeling the ribs broaden and expand on the inhale. And notice as they contract on the exhale. And just noticing this movement within the rib cage. And then we're going to breathe into the belly and the ribs. And also now into the back, into the space behind your heart. And so of course we don't just breathe to the front, we breathe into the body in a 360-degree fashion. So the lungs are orbs. And so we want to breathe into that space into the back. We don't need to emphasize our breath into the chest because that's probably the most common. And so wherever you are with the breath, I want you to exhale now. I'm going to do a little breath work together. I'm going to breathe into our belly, into the ribs, into the back, and into the chest. And then we'll exhale the chest, the back, the ribs, and the belly. We inhale belly, ribs, back, and chest, filling the body up, and then exhale chest, back, ribs, and belly. Inhaling belly, ribs, back, and chest, and exhale chest, back, ribs, and belly. Inhale belly, ribs, back, chest full. Exhale chest, back, ribs, and belly empty. Inhale belly, ribs, back, chest, and exhale chest, back, ribs, and belly. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And coming back now to your natural breath. And just notice the difference in how you feel. It's really simple pranayama breath work practice. This 4-part breath is a really beautiful way of drawing you into your body. You'll be experiencing this rich and full breath and of bringing you from the external to the internal. When we begin to manipulate our breath in this way, we draw ourselves into the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. And this is what we're looking for in our meditation practice, to really begin to down-regulate, to find that peace, that quiet within the body. So we've moved from the Annamaya Kosha, the physical body, to the Pranamaya Kosha, the energetic or breath body. Then we move into the third layer, which is the Manomaya Kosha. And Manos in Sanskrit translates to that mind stuff. So this is the thoughts and emotions, that chitter-chatter in the mind. And so here we begin to analyze, look at anything that's coming up for you, any reoccurring thoughts, any emotions that are present. And we just notice how the mind and the heart are working. So this is part of that mind-body connection. And we notice the thoughts and emotions that make up who we think we are. And so one of our practices in meditation is to begin to release these. So a lovely practice is to notice what you notice, to name it, and then release it. So one practice I like is to picture my mind as a clear blue sky, a really beautiful blue, vibrant. And then anytime a thought comes into my mind, to name it thought, and then allow that thought to pass across that clear blue sky like a white fluffy cloud. And allow that thought just to come into the landscape of the mind and then pass through, softly, gently. And then we can notice the thoughts that come up and name them more specifically. Planning, shopping list, past, and just naming them as they come in. But not getting caught up in the drama of the thought, not feeling need to chase it down, to get involved, but to remain a witness. So just watching it pass across that beautiful clear blue sky of your mind. And you'll probably find that you get distracted. You'll end up following a thought, getting involved, hashing it out, and then you realize where you're at. And then come back to that clear blue sky. And the key here is not to berate yourself when you end up traveling along a thought, but rather just recognize it and gently bring yourself back to this clear blue sky. A beautiful thing to notice is that the pranic body and the mind stuff are lovely, beautifully linked. And that often just by calming down the breath, by following a breath pattern, we can really push out some of those reoccurring thoughts and bring our self to a place that's a little bit calmer, find a little more equanimity, balance. And so that's the third layer of self. The fourth layer of self, as we move closer and closer inwards towards that soul center. So the fourth layer is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And this is the wisdom body. And this one takes a little bit more practice to access. I think the easiest way to break this down is that this is the intuition. This is our higher understanding, our higher wisdom. This is that gut feeling. It's one of those things that as we learn to trust ourselves, as we learn to recognize our own wisdom, that we can trust to follow it, that the intuition gets louder and stronger, and it goes from just that weird feeling of distrust that someone might give you the willies, or that you know someone is a good person. And that's just that innate wisdom, that understanding that we are mammals. We have a good scent for danger. And that often it's when we've ignored those little cues that the body gives us that we found ourselves in uncomfortable situations. Those times we've said yes, or we've played nice against our own better judgment, that we've ended up in situations that don't serve us or that feel dangerous. And just learning to trust that innate wisdom And so when we get to this place within the body, closer and closer to that Atman, that eternal self, we get better and better at listening to this. But sometimes what we need for this wisdom body is some peace and quiet. And so as we move through the layers of self, as we begin to initiate a meditation practice, it's during these quiet times that the voice is loudest, and that we can learn to listen. And so now we move to the very most inner kosha or veil or level of self. And this is the Anandamaya kosha. And in Sanskrit, Ananda translates to bliss. So the closer we go from this external, the physical self, the prana, the energetic self, the mind stuff, the mind and emotional self, the wisdom self, and then we get right to the very core of who we are. And this is bliss. We are meant for bliss. And this eternal self, this is the self that we are through all the lifetimes. This is the self that is unchanging, regardless of the physical form that cloaks it. This is the self that we are at our very essence, our true nature. And our true nature is love. Our true nature is bliss. And this bliss body, this Anandamaya kosha, can be elusive. At different stages in our life, sometimes it can be quite hard to reach. Other times it might be fleeting. It's not a state that I find accessible all the time. But it's always there. And it is at the very heart of who we are. And so no matter what is happening in our lives, the ups and the downs that are inevitable, as a yogi we recognize that nothing is permanent, that we are always changing. And the good news is nothing lasts forever. The bad news is nothing lasts forever. And so finding a sense of equanimity, a sense of just rolling with what is, makes this Anandamaya kosha, this bliss body, a more accessible, more comfortable, more available. And so we're going to bring the hands to prayer, bring the prayer to the heart. Anjali Mudra. And we're going to bow the head over the hands. Just give thanks, be grateful for who we are, these complex layers of self. To be grateful for our teachers, those that have come before us. To be grateful for all of those that we love that add richness and depth, texture to our lives. To be grateful for all the lessons, past, present and future, that will shape us, that will give us opportunities to grow. And gently release the hands down. Allow the eyes to open. So that was the start of our meditation practice. So we did half an hour, which is a long time. Very nice to do a guided meditation with a teacher. So I want you to take your legs out in front if you haven't already, because if you're not used to sitting, then half an hour sitting is a long time. So your meditation practice at home, I would recommend that you start with 10 to 15 minutes. It's best first thing in the morning because generally speaking, first thing in the morning our minds are really quiet. We get to the end of a long day and the mind is just buzzing, and we have to sort through a little more before we can find that stillness. So first thing in the morning is optimal. But if that's not for you, if you've got a house full of kids and they know the moment that you're awake and they come into your room and so that's just not a time, then that's fine. Just find a time of the day that you can stick to. And if 10 minutes seems too much, make it 5. And set a little gentle timer on your phone, something with bells, something nice and soft, or birds tweeting to bring you out of it. And just practice sitting. And so we sit and we close our eyes, and it doesn't matter if the whole time your mind is going buzz, 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 buzz. Fine. You've given yourself 5 minutes to sort through some of that, to sift through some of that. We have this idea that our meditation practice is all Om Shanti and beautiful and floaty. Probably not. And it takes a long time till it gets there. But it's like a muscle. So the more we work it, I find now that I sit, I close my eyes, I don't even need to do anything. I will start to breathe deeper because that's part of my practice. I will sit, I will breathe, and I'll allow the breath to draw me in. So you can start with these. There's lots of resources online for little just guided meditations. There's this great timer called Insight Timer that has thousands of free guided meditations. So you can find a voice that you like. You can find a duration that you like. I might actually post that underneath so that you guys can find the link for the app. But it's a really great way to do it. And then eventually you'll be able to do your own meditation practice that you lead, that you are able to just sit and just be. But initially it is nice to have a little guidance. So from here, for our next 30 minutes, we're going to move through a little yoga practice. So if you've been sitting, I want you to change the direction and put your non-dominant leg in front. I'm going to take myself off the blanket. Actually, I might take myself off the meditation cushion altogether. And so we're going to come to sit with the non-dominant leg in front. And initially taking your right hand, palm down, and sliding it in and under your bottom. So you're sitting on your hand. From here, we want to grow nice and tall, and we're going to take our left ear over to our left shoulder. So what we're looking for is to get some length all the way along this right side of the neck. So neck and shoulders are areas that lots of people hold tension. The jaw is another one. And the belly is another one. And people don't necessarily even realize they're holding tension in their jaw until they wake up from grinding their teeth and they realize that's how sore it is. And the belly is one that often we're holding tight, especially if we're going through tense situations, if we've got a lot of stress in our lives. Let's turn the head to look down towards the hand that's on the floor. So it's going to stretch out the back of the neck a little. And just breathing into that, noticing how it feels, noticing if there is tension in your neck and shoulders. And then bring the head back to center. I'm going to switch that just straight over to the other side. So left hand comes in, palm down, we sit onto that hand. You're going to take your right ear over to your right shoulder. So we're anchoring down through that left side, nice and long through the neck. And just a couple of deep breaths. And you'll notice that when we do start to breathe a little more deeply, it offers you a chance to really let go. So the exhalations are a great way to send any energy, any tension, any stress that you're holding on to and just release them. And then turn your eyes down to the hand that's on the floor. So looking down towards that right side, stretching out the back of the neck on that left side now. Lovely. And then slowly lifting the head, coming back to center. So hands are going to come out to the side. We're going to inhale, lift up. And then exhale, draw the hands down through the midline, prayer to the heart. Again, inhale, sweep the arms up, look up. And then exhale, bring the prayer all the way to the heart. Just one more like that. Inhale, sweep the arms wide, spread your wings, press your palms, and prayer down to the heart. Nice. Left hand out to the side. Inhale, take the right arm over and take a little lean over to the side, a little lateral flexion. So really reaching through the fingers, looking to get long through that whole seam of the side, all the way up the side waist to the armpit, along that arm to the fingers. And then we're going to inhale, turn the heart to the sky and wrap that arm around. And on the exhale, sweep it forward and up. Inhale, round and back. And then exhale, forward and up. So it's getting a little movement through the shoulder. Inhale, heart to the sky. And exhale, around. And 2 more, in. And out. And in. And out. Beautiful. Come on up. Wow, right side feels better already. Let's lift the left side up. Let's inhale. Take it back. And then exhale. Take it forward and up. Inhale. And then exhale. Nice circles. In. And out. That's 3. In. And out. That's 4. And in. And out. Lovely. That's 5. Come on up. Hands on the knees. A little seated cat-cow. So we're going to lift the heart, lift the gaze. Inhale. And then on the exhale, we're going to round back, look towards the belly button. So we're going to inhale, tilt the pelvis, lift the heart. And on the exhale, back onto the sit bones, around and look towards your belly. Inhale, roll forward, heart forward, eyes up. And exhale. And round. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, heart forward, look up. And exhale. Round the spine, look to the belly. Last one, in. And out. Beautiful. Let's come on up to sit tall. We're going to come onto all fours. We're going to move through a little movement for the spine. So coming onto all fours. I'm going to spread the fingers nice and wide, 4 points. So wrists are underneath shoulders, knees are underneath hips. And we're going to do that little cat-cow movement again. Inhale, send the heart forward, look up. And on the exhale, tuck the tail under, broaden the upper back and look towards the belly. Inhale, shine the heart forward, tail up, spread the sit bones. Exhale, tuck the tail under, look towards the belly, let the head go long. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale. 1 more, in. And out. Beautiful. Inhale, take the heart forward, look up. And then on the exhale, round the spine and press the buttocks to the heels. We're going to keep this flowing. Inhale, heart forward, eyes up. Exhale, round the spine, press the buttocks to the heels, child's pose. Inhale, round forward and up. Exhale, round and back. 2 more, in. Shine the heart forward, exhale, around and press back. Get long through the spine. Last time, in. And out. So buttocks to the heels, reach the arms out in front. Maybe you can soften the forehead all the way to the floor. Doesn't matter if you can't. But we want to try to push the buttocks back to the heels, providing that's okay on our knees. Anything doesn't feel good for you in this little movement section, please just leave it alone. Don't do it. We don't want to push through. We don't You want to create anything but sweetness in the body. So if anything doesn't feel great, it's not for you today. That doesn't mean it's not going to be for you in the future. Let's slowly come on up. So this time we're from all fours and we're going to walk our hands out in front. I'm going to see if we can sink the chest towards the floor and drop the forehead down. Now this is a strong one for the shoulders. And if it's too much for you, then stay up on the hands. You don't need to bring the head all the way down. And some of you might be able to drop the chest to the floor. I can't do that today. A little bit too tight through the shoulders. And slowly come on up, walk the hands in, back to all fours. We're going to inhale, lift the right arm high. And on the exhale, thread the right arm through, palm faces up. We're going to come all the way down to the shoulder. And you're going to slide that left hand out in front. So stretching across the back of the body. And keep the breath moving slow and steady. And just enjoying what it feels like to move your body. And slide that left hand in. Come back up onto the hands and knees. And inhale, left arm goes high. And this time thread it through. So palm faces up, come all the way down, slide your right hand out in front, getting into the back of the shoulder. And creating a little spinal rotation for the body. And slide that right hand in, come on up to all fours. And we're going to tuck our toes under. So, knees are going to be hip distance apart, so at least one fist in between the knees. We're going to come up onto the feet. And we want to tuck all toes, all 10 toes under. And we want to spread them. So especially make sure your little pinky toe comes to the floor. Spread the toes wide and sit up nice and tall. So we're stretching out the back of the feet. And some of you might be able to slide the knees further out. It's a strong one. And so we're just inviting a little bit of movement. We often stretch lots of things in our body, but our feet quite often get neglected. And so just giving the feet a bit of love, especially if you're jamming them into shoes all the time. We people on the Gold Coast tend to wear flip-flops a lot, so our feet get quite dumb and flat. But if you're cramming yours into shoes, that's another problem altogether. So we want to spread those toes nice and wide, give them lots of space. You're not going to stay here for too much longer because it's painful. And then slowly come on out. Just gently pedal the feet out. You're going to take your big toes together and your knees wide. Come back to sit on the heels so the feet are flat to the floor. We're going to turn the hands back towards us. This is going to stretch out our forearms and our wrists. I've been having trouble with my wrists recently, so I'm going to keep my hands all the way back here, but you might find that taking the hands out in front even further might work for you. So we just want to take them out to where we can feel a nice stretch, but nothing painful, and we definitely never force them. And so once you hear maybe a little gentle sway side to side, you might notice different areas getting activated. Just noticing that, feeling that. Beautiful. And then turn the hands over, so the backs of the hands to the floor. Don't need to put much pressure through them, but just changing the direction of the hands. And then turn the hands so that the fingers point towards each other. And then so that the fingers turn out. Awesome. And then come on up, little circle to the hands. Maybe give them a little bit of a shake out. Great. So back onto all fours. Let us tuck our toes under. Inhale, send the heart forward, look up. So that little cow move. And then exhale, press your way up and find your downward facing dog. Wow, nice. Let's keep it flowing. Drop the knees, lift the heart, lift the gaze. Inhale. And then exhale, press up and back. Downward facing dog. One more. Inhale, drop the knees, lift the heart. And exhale, press back. You're going to press into the right heel and bend the left knee. And then just take that over to the other side. So just a little bit of taking the dog for a walk, a little pedal out. Lovely. And we're going to slowly walk the hands back to the feet. So just measuring out, feet are hip distance apart, and taking the thumbs to the creases of the elbows. I'm going to really generous bend in my knees because I want this to be about allowing the spine to cascade and open, not so much about the hamstrings. So big bend in the knees. And the body's just hanging heavy. And now you want to feel that connection you have with the floor. So you want the toes to be spread nice and wide. You want a little lift through the arches of the feet. So the pinky toe sides of the feet pressing down. It's kind of like a little suction cup, keeping you connected to your mat or your floor. And then just let everything go. So neck long. Maybe take a little shake of the head. Say no, no, no to stress, to tension, to holding on in the body. And release the hands down. Take a little walk over to your right side. Keep that bend in the knees. A little twist for the side waist. And then walk the hands over to the other side. Excellent. Back to center. You're going to take the knees to the floor. And come on up to stand on the knees. Great. So taking your right leg out in front, you're going to bring the hands either side of the front foot. It's going to have a little play here, just a little forward and back, rocking into the hips, feeling how that feels. And then you might be okay to bring the hands up onto the knee, sinking the hips. You can always place a blanket or a towel underneath the knees if the knees are sensitive. If you want to make it a little stronger, the arms can go towards the sky. We sink the hips. And then take the hands down either side of the front foot. I'm going to take that right arm up and around, taking it for a little bit of a spin. So we've already warmed up the shoulder here. So just reaching back now. And so for some of you, you might be able to reach that back foot up. Now if you can't quite reach that foot, that's fine. Just keep reaching and keep bending. It's a strong one on the quadriceps. And then gently release that foot, hands either side of the front foot, and draw the hips back, toes up towards the sky. Now if you need something underneath your hands here, you could use a couple of books. And inhale here and then exhale, take a little fold for one. Let's roll it up in. And exhale two. And in. And exhale three. Two more. In. And up. Last one. In. And out. Amazing. I'm going to walk it back. And then slide the right knee back. And step the left foot forward. On my right side feels new. Brand new. So hands come either side of the foot. And we're just going to take a little gentle rock into that right hip flexor and pull it back. Just waking it up and inviting in a little blood flow, a little movement. And you can keep your hands on the floor, or you can slowly walk the hands up and onto the thigh. Keep sinking the hips. And you don't need to sink right down. You can keep yourself out of it if the hips are tight. If you wanted to extend the arms to the sky, you could. Just try to remember to slide the shoulders down and back. Open up the space around your heart. And take the hands down either side of the front foot. Right hand stays grounded, and left arm is going to sweep forward, up and around, and just taking it for a little spin for 2. And last one here, 3. And then reach back. Maybe you can bend up that back foot and grab a hold. Doesn't matter if you can't, it's a strong one. Just holding here. Gently and softly releasing that foot, drawing the hips back. Fingertips either side of the front foot. And inhale, lengthen the spine, look up. And exhale, take a little fold down for 1. Snake the spine in. And out. 2. In. And out. 3. In. And out. 4. And in. And out. 5. Lovely. Come back in. Or hands either side of the foot. You're going to bring the knees back. So let's cross our ankles and come to lie down on our backs. Just going to take that out so my head can lie flat. Nice. So from here we're going to walk our feet in. So we're going to come into a little bridge position. You're going to take the hands down by your side, palms face down. We're going to inhale and reach the arms up and overhead, so backs of the hands come to the floor. Keep those feet hip distance apart as we exhale, tuck the hips, and then lift the pubic bone up towards the sky. And you're going to inhale, take the arms down by your side, and then exhale, vertebra by vertebra, roll the spine back to the floor. Picturing your spine like a string of pearls. Inhale, take the arms over, and imagine that you're lifting them up, pearl by pearl, coming off the mat. And then inhale, and then exhale, pearl by pearl, coming back to the mat. Just one more time like that. Inhale, sweeps the arms over. Exhale, press into the heels, lift the hips. Inhale, the arms come back down by your side. And then exhale, slowly, slowly come back to the floor. Lovely. Walk your feet into touch, and then soles of the feet together, knees go wide. You're going to take one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. And you're going to close down your eyes. And it's not unusual to feel a little bit vulnerable in this position. So you really want to focus on breathing into the hands. So we're breathing to expand the belly, we're breathing to expand the heart. And one more breath. And gently flutter the eyes open. Take the hands down to the outside of the thighs and gently draw the knees back together. Now draw your right knee into the chest and extend your left leg long. And then take a little spinal twist to realign the spine. So that right foot comes to rest on the left knee. I'm going to take the left hand to the outside of the right knee and gently draw that knee all the way across the body to the floor. So by anchoring that knee down, we look after our sacroiliac joint. Everything's nice and supported. And then you're going to reach your right hand back, and it doesn't matter if that shoulder is floating in space. Still going to get a beautiful stretch all the way from the fingertips, all the way down the inner seam of the arm, the side body, all the way down the outside of the leg. Take an inhale here. Exhale, release a little more. And then slowly use an in-breath to bring you back to center. You're going to take the legs into that number 4. So you've got your right foot all the way across. Now you want to make sure that that foot is flexed and that the foot isn't just resting on the knee. You want to take it all the way across. Look after the knee and the ankle. And then the hands are going to slide around the left leg, or maybe even all the way to the shin. You're going to flex both feet and gently draw the knees in towards you. Beautiful stretch, especially into that right hip and the glutes on that right side. And then release the right leg long, left knee into the chest, little squeeze, and then sole of the foot to the top of the thigh, and gently draw that knee all the way across the body to the floor. So resting, reaching back with the left hand, look back over the left shoulder, and find that rotation for the spine. And this should feel good. This should feel like you are taking a sponge and wringing it out, releasing toxins, giving a little squeeze to the internal organs, especially those digestive organs. Make you nice and hungry for breakfast. And then slowly come back to center. Bend up the right knee and take the left foot across. And setting ourselves up for that number 4 stretch, wrapping the hands around the right thigh or all the way to the right shin. Flexing the feet. Releasing the neck. And a little squeeze, nice and active. And slowly release. You're going to take the legs long. You can take the arms by your side and flip the hands palms up. So we don't have long today. We spent a fair bit of time in our meditation, so we're already pretty relaxed. So we're only going to spend a couple of minutes in Shavasana. But this is probably the most important pose of the yoga practice. It's called Shavasana, which translates to corpse pose. The Hindus believe in reincarnation, so they're not as scared of death as we Western people. And they believe that a healthy dose of the corpse pose in your day-to-day life encourages you to come back to that essence, come back to that bliss body, that Ananda Maya Kosha, coming back through all the layers, coming back to your true nature. And because they believe that the physical self is something that is just a vehicle for the soul, it's less important. And they get less hung up about the way that they look and the form that they take, and more interested in who they are at their core. More importantly, how they're behaving karmically this lifetime. Are they kind? Are they compassionate? Are they focused on the world outside or just on themselves? Where are they at in their spiritual evolution? And so as Westerners, we get a chance to come to this corpse pose and to practice letting go. Letting go of the Annamaya Kosha, the physical self. Letting go of the Pranamaya Kosha, the breath body, the energetic body. Letting go of the Manomaya Kosha, that mind chatter. And then letting go of the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Even letting go of that wisdom. And reminding ourselves of Anandamaya Kosha. Reminding ourselves that we were built for bliss, to be happy, and to be true. And gently bring the knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze. And slowly roll yourself to one side. And come on up to sit, easy cross legs. And take the hands to prayer, the prayer to the heart. And close the eyes. Taking the thumbs to the third eye center, the space between the eyebrows. And repeat after me, hopes and dreams. Bring the thumbs to the lips for truth and kindness. And now thumbs to the heart for love and compassion. And we bow forward and we say to each other, Namaste. Thank you, yogis, for joining me.